The gang was all there in Las Vegas. But man, the Magic flaws began to show. We saw some cracks in the facade, and we saw another Summer League loss. So let's talk all about it on today's Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is July 11th, 2023. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the expert and site editor over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. Follow me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, the Orlando Magic fall once again in Summer League, losing to the Indiana Pacers. We'll talk about why the Magic lost that game and why cracks have begun to emerge in some of the players that we still care about on the team. We'll get to that, plus the whole gang showing up in Las Vegas. We'll talk about that coming up here in just a moment. First, I want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of the day every day, no matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. Remember, there's a great Locked On podcast covering every single team in the NBA. Just search for Locked On and the team you're looking for, the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Summer League is sort of controlled chaos. We cover it. It's important. It's something that's happening. It has at least some meaning. It's not completely meaningless. It has some meaning. But we all recognize it for what it is. This is a team of players that have been mashed together, practiced for about a week, shipped out to Vegas, and then play what feels like really meaningful games. Or games that have a lot of meaning for everyone because everyone's playing sort of for their jobs. Even the rookies who have some job security are playing to get comfortable in the NBA and giving at least the NBA, their teams, at least some sense of who they are. And it's imperfect. I saw a funny tweet on Sunday that said, these Summer League games, they're either a 9.5 out of 10 or 3.5 out of 10, and there's nothing in between. And there's something to that. Because you see a lot of games like you saw Monday night for the Orlando Magic. You see games where, the Pacers, just like the Pistons on Saturday, have a lot of players that have played in the NBA. Andrew Nembhard, Ben Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson, Darius Walker. Those are NBA roster players. They played on the NBA last year. The Magic don't have that. Ben Mathurin was an all-rookie team player. Caleb Houston, second player, and at the end of the bench. Jett Howard and Nathan Black are certainly promising rookies, but they are rookies. So this is an experienced Magic team. Playing without Kevon Harris, a two-way contract guy. Playing up against a team that has not a rotation level because Nembhard's right on the border, but they have real NBA players. The Magic kind of. So you take some of this with a grain of salt. And this is not to excuse anything because the Magic play with effort, with intensity and attention to detail. That's half the battle in these Summer League games. That's half the challenge for this team is play with a little bit of energy, play with a little bit of effort. Makes up for mistakes, makes up for turnovers. It makes up for so much. And go that route for just a little bit against a team that is dialed in, that knows what they're doing, that has that NBA level experience, that's going to cost you. And that's what happened in the second quarter. Orlando just could not get their offense going. They settled for a lot of three-pointers, just like they did Saturday's loss. They didn't get into the paint consistently enough. They turned the ball over in really bad spots, gave up a lot of transition points, and all of a sudden the Magic found themselves down by 20 plus. Got to give the Magic credit. I did think that they recovered. They fought well through the second half. They made Indiana sweat a little bit. Got the lead down. I think it was down to like 11 or 12. But at the end of the day, the Magic were not threatening anyone in this game. And while there were positive performances, I don't want to say that the game was a complete waste or complete loss. There were good things to see. Overall, this Magic team didn't get the job done and left a lot to be desired. This is a point now where we've seen this team play twice, and we know it's general flaws. They don't have a center. DJ Wilson had 8 rebounds. Or no, he didn't. He had 5 rebounds, I think. DJ Wilson is not a center. And that is showing itself when he goes out there, because Jarris Walker, Isaiah Jackson had a field day in the paint. There were several possessions, especially in the second half when Orlando was making that push to come back, and they gave up key offensive rebounds. But more than that, like ignoring the roster problems, which again, I'm not going to care about except in so much as not being able to secure rebounds consistently is costing the Magic opportunities to get out in transition and see this team play at pace. Because what we're seeing and what we saw, especially Monday night, is we saw a little bit more of the cracks and the flaws in the team's key players. And look, that's not necessarily a bad thing. At this stage, knowing what some of these guys can't do or what they're not quite ready to do might be helpful. You want to give these players a little bit of latitude to explore and make some mistakes. This is the setting to make mistakes. Anthony Black turned over times on Saturday didn't really bother me. It really didn't. And Anthony Black struggling to shoot the way that he didn't bother me in this game either, because we saw him play more aggressively. We saw him look for his shot. We saw him try and get to the basket a little bit more. And if it's a little inefficient right now, that's okay. This is the time to look for him to learn. This is not I can take in the lead. This is the speed I got to play at. This is the time to learn and make those mistakes. So, look, I'm not worried about wins and losses in the Summer League. I don't care about the result. I care about effort. I care about defending at the level and energy that the team wants. And certainly Anthony Black did that. I thought Jet Howard did that. I thought Caleb Houston did that. I thought DJ Wilson did that. DJ Wilson kind of matters, kind of doesn't. The Magic did a lot of did good things on that end, but at the end of the day, just too many sloppy mistakes, too many bad shots. And that includes Black, who took some bad shots. But again, what we saw here were flaws beginning to be exposed. Caleb Houston had a fantastic game. We'll talk more on the box score segment coming up in a minute. Caleb Houston had a fantastic game. Was a big part of why Orlando at least made the fourth quarter quasi-interesting. But he struggled to hit the outside, 1 for 5. Anthony Black showed us the struggle with his jumper. He was willing to take it. I think that's really important, but it's still very, very slow. And that slow release costs him against good defenders, costs him against better and experienced defenders, and teams are going to hang off him. They're going to dare him to shoot. He's going to have to learn how to handle that and learn how to play with that. Howard needs someone to feed him the ball, and the Magic just didn't have that. So much of what we're seeing is some of it's just really hard to judge, because this team is not built. Frankly, this team is just not built to showcase the guys we need to see. They can't rebound, so they can't run. We need to see Anthony Black in transition. We need to see Howard in transition. We need to see those shooters in transition. They don't have a lot of great shooting, and frankly, at this point, no one besides the roster players have stood out significantly. we saw a little bit of Dexter Dennis. Elijah Hughes did some interesting things. I'm not going to say completely, but there's no one I've seen yet on this Summer League roster that I give that two-way contract to. Maybe something's going on in practice, I don't know. But in these 2 games, I'm not seeing anything worth a two-way contract. And for all my Soda maniacs, it is time to give him a look. I'm not 100. It's a little surprised he didn't get the minute Monday, but we need to give him a look. Unless the Magic are purposely trying to hide him so he doesn't go sign somewhere else. If that's the case, just sign him now. Why are you waiting? Maybe he's not that good. Maybe he is. It's time to start looking at some of these other players. We got a little bit of Tiger Campbell, who I thought did some good things, but there's limitations with him. There's no one on this roster outside of the key guys we really care about that are going to be on the Magic next year that have stood out. And that's kind of the part that's concerning, because without that, we can't really know what we have. Without that, it's hard to say Summer League is successful or giving us the information that we need. And that's kind of where we stand right now. We'll dive into some more of these flaws and talk a little bit through it coming up as we go over the box score. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, it's time for a quick word from friends at Ibotta. It's officially summer, and a new season means new clothes. But your closet shouldn't be the only thing growing when you purchase. Now you can also watch your cash back grow with each purchase too with Ibotta. Ibotta gives you cash back on hundreds of items, produce to personal care to pantry goods, so you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're buying. Either link your loyalty account or upload your receipt after you shop and get your cash back. It's that easy. The average Ibotta user earns $120 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip. Or you can use your cash back to buy that flight you've been eyeing, that game you've been dying to go to, or the fancy dinner you've been craving. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much. With Ibotta, you get real cash back that you can cash out to your bank account, PayPal, or gift card. You can cash back on hundreds of online brands and retailers too. When you start with Ibotta, including Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and more. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta by using the code LOCKED when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app and use code LOCKED. That's Ibotta, Ibotta, in the Google Play or App Store, and use the code LOCKED today. Like I said on Saturday Sunday show, I'm not going to really care about the score, the final score to this game for those that care. Pacers win 108-85. Certainly they blew it open a little bit. Orlando was down by 20 in the second quarter. They cut the lead down. It was like till 11. I think they may have gotten it to single digits on one or two occasions. But again, just kind of like Saturday, they were able to cut into that deficit. They just couldn't get over the hump. And again, the game followed a lot of the same patterns that we saw Saturday, where the Magic's second unit especially kind of went through this prolonged drought in the second quarter, put the Magic a little bit behind. They had to kind of scramble to get themselves back up. They couldn't rebound, which really hurt them. So you take a lot of things with a grain of salt. Again, the Magic's rebounding is a little bit of a concern. It is not the strongest part of the team's game, although they rank decently on defensive rebound rate. But there's some warning signs. There's also like, I'm not losing sleep that DJ Wilson can't rebound. It'd be one thing if that were a draft pick who was struggling to rebound and dealing with a lot of fouls. That would be one thing. That's not the case. DJ Wilson's not going to be on the team. No offense to DJ Wilson. Robert Baker, he might get a two-way. He's done some okay things. I'm not going to say Robert Baker's been terrible among the Magic's non-roster players. Baker's looked the best, but that's not saying a ton, to be perfectly honest. I have been really disappointed with the construction of this roster. There are some interesting players on this roster, but again, it doesn't feel built to emphasize the guys that we need to emphasize and built to add players that say like, this guy could be good on Osceola. This guy could be good on Dewey. None of those, like either that or they misjudged him and they're not performing, to be perfectly honest. That's how I feel having watched these guys in 2 games. You're not seeing anyone really step up. Like I liked what Tiger Campbell did. He scored 3 points, 3-4 shooting from the foul line, 0 for 1 from the floor, but he is just way too small. If you're that small as a player, you need to be elite at getting separation on mid-range jumpers. You need to be elite finishing at the rim, and he is neither of those. So I there's something to liking Tiger Campbell, but it's not quite there. Robert Baker had a nice game, 10 points, 5 rebounds, 4 for 6 from the floor, 1 for 3 from deep, which is interesting, but again, not like overwhelmingly good. We all know the Magic need a center on this team, and I think some of Baker's struggles have been apparent. You look at like Quindary Weatherspoon, veteran guy, a guy I really thought had a shot at a 2-way contract because of his age and experience. Only 2 points, 1 for 5 shooting, 0 for 3 from beyond the arc. I can't really say, he had a steal in the backcourt that led to I think that was the only basket, but otherwise not great. With Kevon Harris sitting out, Elijah Hughes started at guard. Had a decent game, 14 points, 5 shooting for 7 from deep. He scored a lot because he took a lot of shots. I would not say that he stood out to me. Really, we're here, Malcolm Hill, 5 points, 2 for 7 shooting, over 3 from deep. Not a game where anyone's really standing out. So again, you want to give us a second opportunity. Hughes did some good things in the first game. I'm not writing anybody off after one game, but what we saw were cracks begin to get exposed, especially with the Anthony Block. 8 points, 3 for 12 shooting, 0 for 2 from deep, 2 for 6 from the foul line, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, no turnovers. After 7 turnovers on Saturday, no turnovers. So that part's good. He was active on the glass, 7 rebounds, was a great rebound, really mixed it up there, playing some great defense. Ben Mathurin was in a vice. Both he and Jed Howard did a great job defending Ben Mathurin for the most part all night long. Black deserves a lot of credit. He's going to compete on defensive end. There's a lot to like about Anthony Black. And look, he made some great passes. He made some great plays. I love that he was aggressive, but you began to see why there were questions about him. He struggled with his shot. He struggles to get into a shot and make it consistent and make it quick. More importantly, he had a shot blocked on one occasion because it just takes him a while to rear up. And obviously the free throws didn't go down too. So he's got to be a work in progress. As impressive as he is, and he is impressive, he's had a good run. There's a lot more that needs to be built up with him. There's a lot more that needs to build. Jed Howard, I thought, had a really nice game too. 10 points, 4 for 9 shooting, 2 for 5 from deep, 2 rebounds, 5 assists. Jet, the shooting's going to be there. I think his shot selection was generally pretty good. The shooting is ultimately going to be there for him. I don't think anyone's worried about that. It's good to see the rest of his game kind of get kind of round into shape, and that's certainly promising. But it's hard to judge very much about him because the ball just isn't moving effectively for this team right now. They're just not moving the ball well. And some of it is, their offense requires a fulcrum at center, and DJ Wilson's really struggled with that. DJ Wilson, 10 points, 4 for 8 shooting, 0 from deep, 2 for 3 from the floor, 8 rebounds. I had it right. 8 rebounds, 4 offensive, 4 defensive, 5 blocks. So, again, I'm on D. Wilson because I expect a little bit more stability from him. He came over from weak side, blocked some shots, but he also was out of rebounding position a lot. Had to switch to the perimeter a lot. Maybe that was design. Maybe that wasn't. But this team just hasn't come together. Caleb Houston, I thought, had the best game of anyone on the team. 18 points, 5 for 10 shooting, 7 for 8 from the foul line, 5 rebounds. Really liked what he did. Played with a ton of energy on both ends of the floor. Got to the basket, got to the foul line. Love that part for him. But he was only 1 for 5 from deep. He's really struggled with the shot in both of his games now. he's going to have to hit from the outside. He wants to play on the main roster. He's got to hit from the outside. And so what I'm trying to get at here is that, yes, there are good things happening out there on the floor during Summer League. I'm not here to say that everything's bad. 2 losses suck. I'm not denying that. I'm not worried so much about the result. The guys that the Magic care about, Anthony Black, Jet Howard, Caleb Houston, Kevon Harris, they're playing well. They're doing good things. But we are also seeing flaws. We're also seeing things that are going to be hurdles that they have to overcome. And I do think that we should see Black and Howard for one more game, or at least a half of the next game on Wednesday. I would like to see how Anthony Black responds to a bad shooting night. I think he did a really good job filling in other areas while still being aggressive and willing to shoot. I think that's really positive. That's a good sign for him. But I want to see how he responds to this game. Like, how, what adjustments is he going to make up for this game or make good for this game? I want to see Howard get one more look and one more good shooting game in, if they can. But focus a little bit more on setting him up to take shots. So I do think there would be value in playing a third game for these guys. I don't know if the Magic are going to shut them down or not. It's certainly possible they will. If they do, there's frankly just not a lot on this roster that's showing out right now. Or even from what we've seen, frankly, it's not a lot on this roster that gets me excited. If one of the storylines we're following this summer league is who's going to get those last two-way spots for the Magic. And I'm going to be perfectly honest, I'm not seeing it on the roster right now. I don't know if that guy is on the roster, if those two guys are on this summer league roster. Robert Baker, maybe. And that's frustrating to say the least. Elijah Hughes, taking shots. There's one guy that just has a really funky shot, took a lot of threes. I'm going to make sure I get his name right. Malcolm Hill. I'm not buying it, to be perfectly honest. There's a lot that this team still has to be better at. And frankly, this summer league performance has not been encouraging as a whole. The guys we care about are doing fine. Anthony Black looks good. I'm really excited for him. Jet Howard, I think, still has some work to do and still has to kind of perfect some things and round some things into form. But you see what they see in him, and honestly, like he's gonna have to keep proving himself and keep developing to get where they need him to be. Caleb Houston's done some good things as well, but all these guys have work to do, and hopefully the Magic will give them the opportunity to get that last bit of work done here before we wrap up in Vegas. The whole Orlando Magic squad showed up. We'll talk about that and their appearance at Summer League coming up here in just a moment. So, one of the favorite storylines that we all love about this Orlando Magic team is how close they are. And we heard Jeff Holman say during the broadcast on Saturday that they were expecting a good chunk of the Orlando Magic roster to show up in Las Vegas very, very soon. And that's going to lead to, Jamal Mosley made it to Vegas as well. He was at a celebration of life ceremony for a mentor, from what I heard, this Saturday's game. So, thoughts are with them in the celebration of life. But he was back in Vegas, and really it did look like the entire team showed up. We knew Mo Wagner was in town. He wasn't in the group photo that was taken on the sideline, but Franz Wagner, Wendell Carter, a fresh haircut, Markelle Fultz. I don't know how fresh it is. Jalen Suggs, Cole Anthony, Jonathan Isaac, Chuma Okeke, Joe Ingles, Goga Batadze, the whole crew showed up in Orlando. Showed up in Vegas. Admiral Schofield was still there and still chilling with the Magic. I don't know if he's two-way eligible, but that doesn't seem like it would be a surprise to me. It would be a surprise because they kind of took him off the two-way contract. to give him a full contract, but we'll see. I wouldn't take that demotion, to be perfectly honest, unless I needed it, unless that was my only way to get on an NBA roster. But that's neither here nor there. The whole crew showed up. And while I think it's, I think God bless OrlandoMagic.com. God bless Dane Savage, Josh Cohen, good buddies of mine. That's a storyline the Magic like to push is something that is important. And look, it's really good. I'm not going to sit here and say it's bad that everyone shows up. They're going to have dinner together. They're going to hang out. They'll probably work out a little bit together while they're out in Vegas. It's a good thing that they're all there, and they're all, especially with Joe Ingles there now, they're all going to get a chance to kind of get in and kind of learn each other and hang out. And that's something that's really special about what the Magic are building. I'm not going to sit here and deny that. It is special that this Magic team, this Magic group, really does feel like they're together, that they're in it together. It's fun. It's good that they're all there. And so it's good to see everyone together. Does it mean anything? Does it mean anything beyond that? I don't know. It's maybe a little bit abnormal that pretty much the entire team is congregated in Vegas for this week, for this event. Sure. I don't think a lot of teams can say that they have almost full attendance. I don't know who's missing. If J.I. and Chuma are there, I don't even know who's missing that would be in that group, because they're all there. It is good to see. And look, everybody loves this group. I don't know, Magic fans love the people on the team. We can quibble about roles. We can quibble about who's part of the future or not. It's hard not to love the people on this team. And the fact that they all showed up for this event, that they sat through a very summer league game, is certainly a sign of how much they support each other, a sign of how positive the culture is. Trust me, I am dealing with a very negative sports culture on another team that I follow. Just pick up a new sports page and you'll probably figure out what I'm talking about if you know me at all. Having a positive locker room culture is a very good thing. It is a very, very good thing to have that. And I think it ultimately, supportive locker room culture is something that helps a young team grow. And I think what the Magic have and how they've built this to support each other is a really good thing, and a big reason why the Magic expect to have such a big season. I love what Jamal Mosley said on the NBA TV broadcast when they interviewed him during the third quarter. They're not running from the expectations. Like, the Magic aren't going to say specifically that they expect to be in the playoffs next year. They will continue to say goals level up. Anthony Parker did the rounds after he was named general manager, did a couple radio shows. And the consistent message that he said there was something that Welton said back in April. We've just got to play better basketball. We got to play smarter basketball. If we do that, we're going to achieve whatever goal we have. They're not going to put a name on it. They're not going to say specifically, we believe we're a playoff team. We believe we're a postseason team. They're not going to say, Steve Clifford used to always say, doing that puts limits on what you can accomplish. The goal is simply to get better. And being all together in Vegas, getting some work in there, helps you get better. That certainly does. Now, if you've seen some workout videos from Paolo Banchero, he is looking very good. He talked, I believe, at NBA Con a little bit about this too, about how, he felt like his rookie year, he was just kind of figuring everything out. Like, he didn't know what he was doing. Now he knows what he's doing. I'm expecting a very big sophomore year from Paolo Banchero, and certainly we will see how he plays at the World Cup as well, where he's expected to have a major role at the World Cup for Team USA. It's exciting summer, and it is great to see everybody back together, get just a little glimpse of them before they all head their separate ways, because by the end of the week, NBA Summer League is going to be packed up, and we'll be waiting for international basketball to start to get us our basketball fix before the season begins in September. It's good to see everyone, though. The whole squad showed up, and it just shows how strong that Magic culture is. But I want to thank you all for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, follow me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. Subscribe to the podcast and Apple Podcasts. Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all the Football Cinema podcasts to your podcast enabled listen device. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can, of course, follow us there on Twitter, Magic Daily. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. If you're part of our everyday crew, be sure to tune in tomorrow, where I have yet to decide what our topic of conversation will be. It might be a little bit more about those expectations the Magic are setting. We'll dive a little bit deeper into the Anthony Parker rounds. You can find that story on Orlando Magic Daily. We'll see what else I come up with in the meantime. But until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Phil Prime. Right? We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.